Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Donald Sutherland, a distinctive screen icon. Donald McNichol Sutherland, born July 17, 1935 to June 20, 2024, was a Canadian actor whose career spanned more than 6 decades. Known for his tall, striking presence, expressive eyes, and ability to disappear into any character, Sutherland became one of the most respected and versatile performers in film and television history. He built a remarkable career without chasing the stereotypes of a leading man actor, instead embracing roles that were eccentric, intense, intellectual, or quietly menacing. Early life and education. Sutherland was born in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada, and grew up in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. As a child he suffered from illnesses, including rheumatic fever, polio, and hepatitis, but had a curious mind and a love for radio. By age 14, he worked as a radio news reporter. He initially studied engineering and drama at the University of Toronto, earning degrees in both, before moving to London to attend the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, LAMDA. He began his career with stage roles and small TV appearances. Breakthrough and rise to fame. Sutherland gained international recognition in the late 1960s and early 1970s, The Dirty Dozen, 1967. A breakout supporting role in this war film put him on Hollywood's radar. Moss H. 1970, as the irreverent Hawkeye Pierce. Sutherland helped ignite a wave of anti-establishment storytelling that defined New Hollywood. Clute, 1971, a psychological thriller in which he starred opposite Jane Fonda. Don't Look Now, 1973, a haunting psychological drama that became a classic of European cinema. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978, a thriller featuring one of the most iconic endings in film history. Sutherland developed a reputation for choosing daring, unconventional projects, sometimes offbeat, sometimes politically charged. Always compelling. Continued success across generations. While many actors peak early, Sutherland's career was remarkable for its longevity. Through the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s he continued acting in major films: Ordinary People, 1980, JFK, 1991, A Time to Kill, 1996, Pride and Prejudice, 2005, as Mr. Bennet, a role that endeared him to a new generation. Later, he became known to young audiences worldwide as President Snow in The Hunger Games franchise, 2012 to 2015. His chilling, quietly ruthless performance made him an unforgettable villain. Awards and legacy. Despite critical acclaim, Sutherland was notoriously overlooked by the Oscars for decades. In 2017, the Academy awarded him an honorary Oscar recognizing his exceptional contributions to cinema. Other honors included Companion of the Order of Canada, the highest civilian honor in Canada, French Order of Arts and Letters. Sutherland's legacy extends through his family as well. He was the father of actor Kiefer Sutherland, 24 inches, and maintained close relationships with his children throughout his life. Death. Donald Sutherland passed away on June 20, 2024, at age 88. Tributes poured in from across the film world. Colleagues often described him as bold, curious, fearless in his choices, and endlessly passionate about his craft. Why he endures. Donald Sutherland's career was defined not by superstardom, but by range. He could play a charming hero, a troubled loner, a ruthless dictator, or a gentle father. He brought intelligence and mystery to everything he touched. He once said, "I don't care about being a star. I want to be an actor." He achieved that brilliantly. A career defined by fearlessness. Donald Sutherland's career is astonishing not only for its length but for his refusal to be predictable. While many actors seek safety in similar roles, Sutherland gravitated toward complexity, contradiction, and challenge. He once said that he chose characters because they frightened him. If a role made him uneasy, it meant there was something to discover. Experimentation in the 1960s and 70s, the New Hollywood era, his earliest work in British film and TV, led to his major breakthrough with The Dirty Dozen, 1967, playing Vernon Pinkley, the oddball member of a group of condemned soldiers. The role was brief, but he stole scenes with his quirky unpredictability. Hollywood soon realized that Sutherland wasn't the typical, handsome leading man. His style was cerebral, intense, and often anarchic. He became a symbol of the anti-establishment movement in cinema. Moss H. 1970, his role as Dr. Hawkeye Pierce, a sarcastic and irreverent surgeon during the Korean War, helped define the countercultural spirit of the era. The film was a critical and commercial hit, with Sutherland giving one of the screen's most memorable comedic performances without ever chasing laughs. Clute, 1971, Sutherland played a methodical, emotionally reserved detective opposite Jane Fonda, whose blistering performance earned her an Oscar. Their chemistry was unforgettable, and extended off-screen as they became romantically involved. Bold artistic choices. Perhaps more than anything, Sutherland was known for embracing roles that pushed boundaries. Don't Look Now, 1973, a psychological, erotic, grief-filled thriller set in Venice. This film is considered a masterpiece, and Sutherland's performance remains deeply affecting. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978, his final scene is one of the most iconic moments in 1970s cinema, chilling, unforgettable, and wordless. During the 1970s, Sutherland also became politically outspoken. His anti-war views made him controversial in Hollywood, but he never backed down. He toured military bases with Jane Fonda, performing anti-war shows, and appeared on government watch lists. Yet, he kept working steadily, proof that talent can eclipse politics. Resurgence and reinvention. The 1980s and 1990s. The Quiet Master. Ordinary People, 1980. Although the film won Best Picture, Sutherland wasn't nominated for an Oscar, a decision many critics still consider a major oversight. JFK, 1991, he delivered an electrifying monologue as X, an intelligence insider, in a scene that became a highlight of the film. A Time to Kill, 1996, Sutherland lent quiet power to the role of a principled, aging civil rights lawyer. 2000s, surprising the audience again. Pride and Prejudice, 2005, as Mr. Bennet. He created an emotionally tender portrait of a man who deeply loves his daughters. A new generation discovers him in the Hunger Games films, 2012 to 2015. He portrayed President Coriolanus Snow, soft-spoken, icy, elegant, terrifying. Sutherland intentionally played Snow with gentleness, believing that soft cruelty is more chilling than screaming power. He approached Snow not as a villain, but as a man who believed he was right, which made the character even more sinister. His performance introduced him to millions of young viewers who may not have known that they were watching one of cinema's greatest character actors. Personal life and family. Sutherland was married 3 times. Lois Hardwick, 1959 to 1966, Shirley Douglas, 1966 to 1970, mother of actor Kiefer Sutherland. Francine Rissette, 1972 to 2024, a Canadian actress whom he remained married to for over 50 years. He had 5 children, including actors Kiefer and Rossif, and producer Angus Sutherland. Despite his fame, colleagues often described him as gentle, curious, and humble. He disliked celebrity culture and rarely attended award shows unless necessary. Awards and recognition. Even though he delivered countless award-worthy performances, Donald Sutherland was never nominated for a competitive acting Oscar. In 2017, the Academy awarded him an honorary Oscar, acknowledging the magnitude of his contributions. He also received Companion of the Order of Canada iconic status in France's Order of Arts and Letters, numerous Lifetime Achievement Awards from international film festivals. His philosophy of acting. Sutherland believed in total immersion. He once said, "You don't play a part, you become it." He studied scripts obsessively, writing full biographies of his characters, often more detailed than what the writers created, to understand why they made every choice. Death and legacy. Donald Sutherland passed away on June 20, 2024, at age 88. The film world reacted with unanimous admiration. Tributes highlighted not only his performances but his courage and integrity. Sutherland leaves behind a legacy of fearless role choices, depth of character. A body of work spanning over 200 film and television credits. He didn't play roles for fame, he played them for truth. The actor who refused to be ordinary. Donald Sutherland described himself as a character actor trapped in a leading man's body. He stood 6 feet 4 inches, 193 centimeters, tall, slender, with sharp features and hypnotic eyes that could shift from gentle warmth to icy menace. Directors loved him because his presence was cinematic even when he wasn't speaking. He didn't chase perfection, he chased truth. He avoided vanity, which allowed him to explore vulnerability and darkness without hesitation. Vanity kills good acting. It kills the truth. Don't Look Now, a masterclass in emotion. One of his most celebrated roles came from the 1973 psychological thriller, Don't Look Now. Sutherland played a grieving father who travels to Venice after the accidental drowning of his young daughter. The film is famous for its authentic emotional depth. Sutherland insisted that grief must feel raw, not performed. The director, Nicholas Roeg, said Sutherland had a rare ability to feel emotion rather than display it. On set, Sutherland remained intensely focused. Crew members often described him as present but inside the character. After a scene was finished, he could snap out of it and make jokes. The Hunger Games, How He Shaped the Villain. Donald Sutherland personally asked to be considered for the role of President Snow. He wasn't approached, he wrote a letter to the filmmakers. Why? He believed the story had important themes about power, propaganda, and youth resistance. He wanted to be part of a film that said something about society. His approach to Snow was chilling. Snow smiles more than he shows anger. He speaks softly, forcing others to listen. He never raises his voice, because true power doesn't need to. He told the director, "The quietest voice is the most dangerous." Millions of younger viewers were introduced to his talent through this role, proving that even in his late 70s and 80s, he still had it. Relationships, romance, and Hollywood stories. Jane Fonda. Intense, creative, temporary. During Clute, Sutherland and Jane Fonda began a passionate romance. He said, "She liberated me emotionally." They bonded over politics, art, and activism. Their relationship was intense but brief. Fonda said that they were too volatile to last. Yet they remained deeply respectful of each other's talent. The work ethic. Sutherland was famous for being prepared. His scripts were covered in notes, references, drawings, and marginalia. Diane Lane said, "He understood his characters better than the writers did." He once told a director that unless he understood his character's entire life, before the film begins and after it ends, he couldn't play him honestly. Every role, no matter how small, mattered to him. A father's love. Donald Sutherland had 5 children. His most famous is Kiefer Sutherland, star of 24. Their relationship had ups and downs. When Kiefer was young, Donald's career required constant travel. Kiefer said that his father wasn't always there physically, but as the years passed, they rebuilt their connection into something strong and tender. Donald later said, "The greatest privilege I've had is being a father." One of the most emotional moments occurred during the filming of the series Designated Survivor. Kiefer posted a tribute, saying he hoped to become half the actor and half the man his father was. Final years and passing even into his 80s, Sutherland kept acting. He refused to retire. He refused to slow down. Acting was not a job, it was his oxygen. He passed away on June 20, 2024, at age 88. After his death, tributes flooded social media from actors across generations. Jennifer Lawrence wrote that working opposite him was like facing a lion in a cage, quiet, powerful, unpredictable. Helen Mirren said, "He never performed. He simply existed, truthfully, on screen." And filmmaker Edgar Wright wrote, "There was only one Donald Sutherland. There will never be another." The legacy Donald Sutherland leaves behind. A career spanning over 200 film and TV roles, some of the most enduring performances ever put on screen, the respect of every actor who worked with him. He never saw acting as fame or glamour. He saw it as craft. He once said, "My life has been a river of roles. Each one shaped me, and cinema is better because of it." The chameleon. Sutherland's ability to disappear. Most actors have a signature type. Donald Sutherland had no type at all. He could be brilliant and eccentric, The Dirty Dozen, chaotic and anarchic, Moss H. Soft and paternal, Pride and Prejudice, cold and tyrannical, The Hunger Games. Unlike many actors of his generation, he rejected the idea of becoming a brand. He chose characters, not personas. Director Robert Altman, Moss H., said, "Sutherland doesn't play characters, he transforms reality. And that's why he never faded. He kept reinventing himself." The story behind his breakout in The Dirty Dozen. During filming, Sutherland wasn't supposed to have more than a couple lines. The standout scene where he impersonates a general, originally written for a different actor, who complained and refused to do it. The director turned to Sutherland and said, "You get up there, do it." Sutherland improvised parts of the delivery. The result was funny, weird, unpredictable, and unforgettable. That single moment launched his career. Political courage. The anti-war tour. Most stars stayed silent during the Vietnam era. Sutherland did the opposite. He joined Jane Fonda on the Free the Army (FTA) tour, a satirical anti-war revue performed on U.S. military bases. He read soldiers' letters opposing the war on air. His FBI file eventually reached 1,300 pages. He later said, "If I didn't speak, what kind of human being would I be?" Sutherland risked his rising career to stand for what he believed. A reputation for emotional honesty. Many actors build walls around their emotions on camera. Sutherland tore his walls down. In Don't Look Now, there is a scene where his character weeps over his daughter's death. That wasn't acting, he was crying so hard that the director stopped filming, worried something was wrong. Sutherland later explained, "Grief doesn't look dignified. It looks broken." He didn't care about looking handsome. He cared about truth. He rejected Hollywood ego. He never lived in Los Angeles. He avoided Hollywood parties, red carpets, schmoozing. He once said, "Being a star is a job. Acting is who I am." When asked why he accepted supporting roles, his answer was simple. "A small role in a great film is better than a large role in a bad one." That philosophy gave him one of the richest filmographies of any actor. Directors loved him, studios didn't understand him. Sutherland often clashed with producers because he was Too intense, too honest, too unpredictable. Stanley Kubrick considered casting him several times but said Sutherland was too intelligent for what the studio wants. But serious directors, Altman, Pakula, Bertolucci, Roeg, adored him. Bernardo Bertolucci, director of 1900, called him an actor of moral force. Actors who learned from him, younger actors looked up to him because he didn't lecture, he demonstrated. Jennifer Lawrence, The Hunger Games. He taught me that silence can be louder than screaming. Kiefer Sutherland, his son. Everything I know about acting comes from watching him. He didn't try to dominate a scene, he elevated it. Work until the last breath. Even into his late 80s, Sutherland was still taking roles. Why? When I read something and my heart beats faster, I say yes. Scripts lit him up. Roles kept him alive. He didn't care if the part was big or small, he cared that it mattered. Why Donald Sutherland will always matter. He never chased awards. He chased honesty. He never chased fame. He chased meaning. He never became a Hollywood legend because he wanted it. He became one because he earned it. His performances stay with us because they feel lived, not acted. Cinema is full of stars. Donald Sutherland was an artist. The inner world of Donald Sutherland. He acted from instinct, not technique. Many actors discuss method acting, Meissner technique, or Stanislavski. Sutherland didn't. He once said, "Technique is the enemy of truth." Instead, he relied entirely on instinct, imagination, emotional memory, and deep empathy. He didn't pretend to be a character, he absorbed them. He would write pages of character backstory on legal pads, sometimes 100+ pages, even if only 30 seconds of it appeared on screen. His goal wasn't to entertain, it was to understand. When you understand a character, you can love them. You must love even the monsters. This explains the terrifying elegance of President Snow or the broken vulnerability of grieving fathers and lonely men he played earlier in his career. He wasn't interested in being liked on screen. Most actors want to appear charming, heroic, or handsome. Sutherland rejected vanity. He said, "If you worry whether the audience likes you, you stop telling the truth." He played characters who were flawed, strange, unpredictable, morally ambiguous. His fearlessness was rare. The Venice Story. Don't Look Now, 1973. During filming in Venice, Sutherland was so immersed in grief as the father that locals assumed something terrible had happened to his real family. He walked the canals alone at night, still emotionally inside the character. Crew members said that shadows and loneliness in Venice seemed to affect him deeply. He appeared changed during and even after the film. The movie is now studied in film schools for emotional realism, unprecedented intimacy between actors. Its ending, considered one of cinema's greatest twists. Sutherland later said that film damaged him because he had opened doors inside himself that were hard to close. The scene that changed his life, Moss H. 1970, Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould almost quit the film. Robert Altman encouraged improvisation, chaos, and overlapping dialogue. Sutherland and Gould felt lost, confused, certain the movie would be a disaster. They reportedly tried to get Altman fired. But then one day, Sutherland saw the dailies, raw filmed footage. He watched himself, completely unpredictable, alive, real. That was when he realized, authenticity is messy. And messy is real. The film became a landmark of the new Hollywood era. He was comfortable being odd. A producer once begged him to fix his hair, adjust his posture, and look more like a leading man. Sutherland replied, "Why? I'm not a leading man. I'm a character who leads the story." He didn't care about beauty. He cared about evoking emotion. A private man in a public industry. Unlike many actors, Sutherland avoided fame entirely. Never lived in a Hollywood mansion, rarely attended premieres or parties, no personal PR machine, no interest in selling himself. He lived quietly with his wife Francine in the countryside outside Quebec and Switzerland. They grew vegetables. He loved gardening because it reminded him that the world was bigger than movies. He said, "Fame is a mask. Acting is removing masks." Kiefer Sutherland, a complicated, beautiful relationship. Kiefer has spoken about how hard it was growing up as the son of a man constantly traveling for films. But their relationship evolved. By adulthood, they became not just father and son, but equals. Kiefer said, "I didn't learn acting from what he told me. I learned it from watching him." When Donald received the honorary Oscar in 2017, Kiefer cried. He later said, "He is the greatest actor I have ever known." He never chased awards. Awards chased him. Despite over 200 roles, Sutherland never received a competitive Oscar nomination. Critics called it one of the greatest oversights in Academy history. When he received the honorary Oscar, he said quietly, "I never thought this would happen. I was always just happy to be able to work." The room gave him a standing ovation. The final years, even in his late 80s, his goals didn't change. He didn't want fame, attention, money. He wanted stories. He worked until his body couldn't anymore. His last public appearance showed him thin, but his eyes still held that intense spark, the same energy seen in his first roles in the 1960s. Donald Sutherland passed on June 20, 2024, peacefully, surrounded by family. Of his legacy, a career that shaped modern acting, a philosophy that valued truth over style, a reminder that authenticity is courage. He didn't leave behind a type. He left behind a standard. The only responsibility of the actor is to tell the truth. Donald Sutherland, there will never be another like him. The Depths of Donald Sutherland, a portrait of an artist who never looked away. He treated acting as discovery, not performance. Most actors approach a role asking, "How should I play this?" Sutherland asked, "Who is this, really?" He didn't just analyze characters, he excavated them. He said that acting was like archaeology of the soul, brushing away layers until the truth emerged. He once spent days researching what food his character would have eaten as a child, because the way someone eats tells you more than their dialogue. That obsessive emotional anthropology was what made his characters feel lived in. The power of silence, a signature Sutherland technique. He weaponized silence. Watch President Snow in The Hunger Games, the stillness, the quiet voice, the polite cruelty. He believed that loud acting was insecurity. If the audience leans closer, you are winning. His silence was more terrifying than most actors shouting. Don't Look Now, the day the crew cried. There is a scene in Don't Look Now when Sutherland's character receives news about his daughter. He collapses onto the bed, shaking, silent. No dialogue, no music, just raw emotion. When the director yelled cut, no one moved. Several crew members were crying. Sutherland walked outside, alone, unable to speak. That moment is still considered one of the most devastating portrayals of grief ever put on film. He had a photographer's eye. Sutherland was obsessed with light. He would ask cinematographers, "Where is the light coming from? What is the emotional temperature of the frame?" Not because he cared how he looked, but because he cared how the character should feel to the audience. Cinematographer Vittorio Storaro, who worked with him on 1900, said, "He doesn't move into light. Light moves into him." Anecdote. The scene that scared the crew during Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978, the iconic final scene, the crew expected Sutherland to point and scream. Instead, he made that sound. A sound that didn't seem human. People on set were shaken because no one rehearsed it. It came from somewhere deeper. Director Philip Kaufman later said, "The scream belonged to the alien." The eyes belong to Donald. That final shot has been studied in film schools for 40 plus years. He wasn't afraid of ugly truths in acting. He valued humanity over beauty, honesty over vanity. He once said, "Ugly feelings are still truth. Especially those. Most actors are afraid to look foolish." Sutherland loved looking foolish, if it served the story. He influenced generations without realizing it. Directors and actors speak of him with awe. Quentin Tarantino, Sutherland is cinema literacy. If you don't know him, you don't know movies. Colin Farrell, he taught me how to listen on camera. Jennifer Lawrence, he never had to raise his voice. You felt the force of his presence. He wasn't a celebrity. He was a standard. He treated extras like fellow artists on set. Sutherland would talk to extras, often by name, not out of politeness but respect. One extra on A Time to Kill said he told her, "You are as important to this scene as I am." He believed every job mattered. A life outside cinema. Though he worked constantly, his private life was quiet, rooted, tender. He collected used books and scribbled notes in the margins. He kept journals full of observations and character ideas. He loved gardening, because planting something was a rehearsal for hope. His wife, Francine Rosset, was his partner for 50 plus years. They lived outside Quebec, surrounded by woods. He disliked Hollywood. Hollywood is a place where people go to look at themselves. I look at other people. When he passed away, the industry stopped when he died on June 20th, 2020.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.